Good day, everyone. We are here to talk about the history of science and technology, and we will discuss to you the technological products of the past. It can be a tool used in the Philippines or in the other countries. So, here are your reporters. I'm Abigail Grace D. Casco.
Hi, I am Sickle and Kabanayan.
Hi, it's me, Jason Bulyanday.
I'm Kristen Kit Barakaw.
I'm Mary Anjanette Belingon.
I'm Maria Cheryl Felipe.
I'm John Lloyd Eldaracan.
Hi, I'm Rodrigo Gifaya Bruno Jr.
We are the first group, and we were assigned to tackle the technological products under fishing, farming, and hunting. So, without further ado, let's get into the discussion. So here are the topics. We can see here fishing, farming, and hunting. So what are these three activities? Fishing is a technique, occupation, or diversion of catching fish, while farming is the activity or business of growing crops and raising livestock. And lastly, hunting is the activity of hunting wild animals or game, especially for food or sport. Simply speaking, these three activities are the primary means of obtaining food. So, as one of the sources for their daily living, the people in the past need to have this equipment to lessen the burden in obtaining their food. Humans lived in the past being dependent on their skills in gathering their food. So, they invented various implements and methods, and these are the technological tools. It's where the history begins. The objectives for today is to answer these three questions. When and where was the product or tool discovered or used? How did the people in the past use it? Are they still using it? If not, how was it improved or modified? We will discuss first the fishing, and we provided here 5 tools. Barekbek, payaos, fishing net or lambat, multi-pronged fishing spear, and fish hook. First is the barekbek. The barekbek is a model Filipino bamboo fish trap from the province of Cagayan. Its name is as self-explanatory as its function. It was a trap used for fishing. The first known detailed studies of the fish traps were made in the early years of the 20th century. Barekbek is a fish trap made of bamboo. As we see in the picture, it has a nearly cylindrical shape of bamboo strips held together by strings, with two open ends and a hollow funneling interior. It is a trap that is set in rivers and streams in groups of 3 or 5 traps, and all the trap openings are positioned opposite to the currents. Inside the panel of the fish trap, fishermen would place baits. So for the usage of this bamboo fish trap or barekbek, the barekbek and the bait together are used to catch river fish, shrimp, crabs, and eels. In terms of its function, the fish would enter the wider end of the fish trap, and the panel would restrict them from escaping. So fisher folk can just stick their arm inside to pull the animal out. The barekbek first piqued our interest because nowadays, the best way to catch fish is to use modern tools like fishing rods or large fish nets to catch a large number of them at once. However, when it comes to the barekbek, this trap has its own unique method of catching fish that is not based on hooks and nets. Kawayan, the basic and most enduring material in making fish traps, have been slowly replaced with plastic and nylon for more durability as traditional fishing practices in the country have developed and changed over time. However, there are still communities that continue to make complex bamboo fish traps, so for some, it's still present. This fish trap simply shows how people caught aquatic life, but more importantly, it allows us to infer on how would have they used the barekbek to sustain their livelihoods. Even today, as many other people switch to doing things the way we do now with the advancement of equipments, there are still traditional villages who are still utilizing the barekbek.
Payout is a fish aggregating device being used by the artisanal, small-scale industrial Filipino fishermen. It is used mainly to attract free-schooling tunas and small pelagics like sardines, scad, mackerel, etc. It consists of four functional parts: the floating, anchoring, mooring, and the attractant sections. It is distinguished from one another through the materials being used in the floating section and distance of installation. The selection for their use depends upon the preference of the fishermen, price, and availability of the materials in the locality. Inshore municipal payals are installed within the 15-kilometer area, which is the jurisdiction of the municipal or local government units, while offshore payals are installed beyond the 15-kilometer from the shoreline and in deeper waters. In 1981, about 2,000 payals were deployed in western Luzon, Sibuyan Sea, western Antique, Sulu Sea, Bohol Sea, Davao Gulf, and Moro Gulf. At present, Philippine payals are estimated to be around 4,000 to 5,000 units both in inshore, offshore, high seas, and waters of other countries where Philippine fishing boats are allowed to operate. Though the fish aggregating device is very effective in catching tuna, may mga issues pa din na kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin. Effective itong device na ito dahil sa kakayahan niyang mag-attract ng mga tuna o iba't ibang uri ng isda na naghahanap ng kanilang matitirhan o para sila ay maproteksyonan o dahil may mga maliliit na isda na maaari nilang kainin dito. Kasali na dito yung mga intended target species ng device at mga bata or maliliit na sea turtles or sharks. Though may mga issues ang device na hindi maiiwasan, patuloy pa din ang paggamit sa device na ito habang naghahanap ng solusyon ang gobyerno upang ma-improve or mas maging effective ang device upang hindi maapektuhan ang fisheries sector ng ating bansa.
Multi-pronged fishing spear. Multi-pronged fishing spear was discovered in southern France during the Paleolithic period. Spears were used for fishing by many ancient civilizations. They used barb poles during the Paleolithic period. The famous Cosquer Cave in southern France that has art that is preserved for 16,000 years has images of seals that look like they have been harpooned. Sharpened sticks were among the first spears used for spear fishing by the primitive civilizations. The plant fiber is utilized to bind bone points to each prong, which is then resin secured. The exposed ends of the bone point, the tip and the barb may be seen on the lowest prong. The shaft measures 200 centimeters long, while the prong are 56 centimeters long. Men use multi-pronged fishing spear to fish from boats, rock platforms, or in shallow water. Unlike net or trap fishing, spear fishing enabled the men to pick a certain size or kind of fish. Multi-pronged fishing spear was especially beneficial for fast-moving fishes and those with a small profile when viewed from above. Spear fishing was a way of capturing fishes with a spear. Fishing equipment was designed to be portable. It was light and most of the objects were small. That is helpful for catching fast-moving fishes. Multi-pronged fishing spear was modified into spear gun. The first underwater spear gun was created in 1947 by George Bouchat, a visionary precursor of undersea sports fishing. It is a rifle-type weapon in which the spear either goes through or is directed along the upper surface of a long barrel. The spear shaft is released by a trigger mechanism in all of them. A line is typically connected to the shaft of a spear fishing gun, making retrieval easier. Spear fishing has progressed to the use of pneumatic and rubber band powder guns. The modern materials and manufacturing processes have also resulted in lighter, stronger, and more durable spears than the traditional multi-pronged fishing spears. And the invention of spear gun enabled fishing in a deeper sea.
Fishing net or lambat. A fishing net is a net that is used to catch fish. Nets are woven devices with a grid-like structure comprised of fibers. Fish traps are another name for fishing nets and in the Philippines is commonly called as lambat. The net is cast by hand in such a way that it floats and spreads out on the water. Commonly, yung mga floaters ay mga rubbers na tinali dun sa net. And as the net is being dragged in, fishes are caught. Fishing nets have been used widely in the Philippines, including by Stone Age societies. The oldest known fishing net is the net of Antrea, found with other fishing equipment in the Karelian town of Antrea in Finland in 1930. Many fishers still use fish nets, and it is not relatively modified but however improved through the years. It is no longer constructed with synthetic fibers with multiple twisted polymer filaments for seine and trawl nets to easily catch fishes.
Fish hook. The fish hook have been made by humans for thousands of years. The world's oldest fish hook were discovered in Sakitari Cave in Okinawa Island, dated between 22,380 and 22,770 years old. Fish hook have been crafted from all sorts of materials, including wood, animal and human bone, horn, shell, stone, bronze, iron, and up to present-day materials. In many cases, hooks were created from multiple materials to leverage the strength and positive characteristic of each materials. Fishing hook was the first catching tool the people have been using ever since. The hook is tied to a line that is used to collect the capture. The bait added to the gorge or hook could be the food or just a device imitating food or an escaping fish. Often, such a hook with such a attractant was operated from boat or from the beach by tying the line to a pole. The fisherman extended the range of the baited hook. It is widely used around the world when it comes fishing because it's effective and easy as well. Improvement. The single hook and line later evolved into carrying branching line with a baited hook at the end of each. The hook were baited and the long line placed on the sea bottom or mid-water. The most known improvement of the fish hook is the bait itself. At the early age, they used worms bait, but in today fishing we now use fake baits that can actually attract prey without the using worms.
Let's move on to farming. We have here the Sickle, Kuliglig, the McCormick Reaper, Rice Thresher, Cotton Gin, and the Haro. First one is the Sickle. The development of the sickle in Mesopotamia can be traced back to times that predate the Neolithic era. Large quantities of sickle blades have been excavated in sites surrounding Israel that have been dated to the Epipaleolithic era. A sickle typically has a short handle and a crescent-shaped blade and is used for reaping during harvest. In ancient Egypt, the blade was made of wood rather than iron. The wood was glazed and then honed to create sharp edges. The sickle is general-purpose harvesting hand tool. It is used for the harvesting of vegetables, cereal crops, and cutting of the grass and other vegetative matters. For the improvement of sickle, it is still used up until now. However, harvesting with the sickle is very slow, but because of its simplicity and low cost, it is still widely used over the world, especially to reap cereals such as wheat and rice, and also as a gardening tool.
Ang alam ko, everyone in the Philippines knows about kuliglig, pero konti lang ang nakakaalam ng discovery nito. So here's a brief description and discovery of kuliglig or hand tractors. Ang kuliglig ay kilala sa probinsya dahil dito ito madalas makikita at ginagamit. dahil na rin sa mga bukiran. Nadiskubre ang kuliglig noong 1975 at unang nagamit sa Carmody, Philippines. Before kuliglig, there are actually a lot of inventions made as an alternative to carabao or manual handwork tulad ng moldboard plow, tractors, and IRRI power tillers. They all are effective in preparing rice fields for planting, but farmers are still unsatisfied with the results these machines give not until kuliglig or hand tractors were made. Simula nung naimbento at ginamit ang kuliglig, ang 14 per 1,000 hectares sa Pilipinas ay tumaas sa 20 per 1,000 hectares noong 1990. It is very much convenient for farmers than doing handwork or using carabaos, and it gives out the best results for land preparation. As we all know, hanggang ngayon ay ginagamit pa din ang kuliglig, hindi lang for land preparation for planting, but pati na din sa transportation. Lalong-lalo na sa mga lublob na lugar.
Next is the McCormick Reaper. We all know that reapers are such a great help sa ating mga farmers, especially during harvesting. And the first commercially successful reaper was built in 1831 by a Virginia-born inventor na si Cyrus Hall McCormick, which is the McCormick Reaper. Just a little bit background about Cyrus. He was born in Virginia on February 15, 1809. He was the eldest son of Robert McCormick, which is a farmer, a blacksmith, and also an inventor. Discovery. As I've said a while ago, this reaper was discovered noong 1831 by Cyrus McCormick sa Virginia, United States. This reaper embodied the principles essential to all subsequent cutting grain machines. Working on his Virginia farm, McCormick added characteristics to the machine such as divider, a reel, a straight reciprocating knife, a finger, a platform to catch the catstalks, a main wheel, and gearing, and front drive traction. By the way, it is also first used sa Virginia. Faced with competition from other investors, McCormick obtained a patent in 1834 and began manufacturing the Reaper himself, and initially marketed in 1840 in Virginia also. Next is usage. Aware naman tayo na when we say Reaper, ito ay ginagamit sa mga farms. The main function of reapers was to cut grains. Early reapers such as the McCormick Reaper simply cut the crops and drop it unbound. And based on the image that we see, this reaper was being used with the help of horses kasi sabi ng mga farmers in the early 19th century, harvesting required a large number of laborers, and if a farm had insufficient hired workers for a harvest, the farmers faced crop losses. So through the help of this reaper, it offered the hope that the yield of the farmer's field would soon not be limited to the amount of labor available. So it worked as follows. A straight blade protected by guards was connected to a drive wheel. As the drive wheel rotated, the blade moved back and forth in a sewing motion, cutting through the grain stalks which were held straight by rods. The cut grain stalks then fell into a platform and were collected by a worker with a rake. And improvement. This reaper is still in use today, but now in its improved version na tinatawag na combine. It is faster and more powerful than the old version as it cut the crops and ilalagay sa threshing machine. Then it will undergo in the process of threshing and cleaning and discharging the grains directly into the bags. However, the main components of McCormick's innovative 1831 innovation are still present in today's combines.
Rice thresher. In its discovery, the rice thresher, threshing machine, or paddy threshing machine is agricultural equipment used to thresh rice, that is, the rice grain is removed from the stalk and husk. It does this by acting on the plant to break the seed. Scottish engineer Andrew Meikle invented the first threshing machine around 1786 in Scotland. Familiar naman siguro kayo sa rice thresher or paddy rice thresher. Ito ay isang machine na ginagamit sa pagsasaka. Ito ay ginagamit para mag-ani ng palay o paggigiik, para mas mapadali yung pag-harvest at mas mapagaan yung gawain kaysa mano-mano. Usage. The rice threshers are used by farmers to separate grain from straw and other light materials. At first step, the farmer places a bundle of paddy and straw strewn into the feeder or hopper. Ang threshing machine ay ginagamit ng mga magsasaka upang paghiwalayin ang butil mula sa dayami. Kung makikita nyo, ang mga magsasaka ay naglalagay ng isang bundle ng palay at inilalagay ito sa bunganga o hopper. Then, dito, lalabas na yung butil ng palay at diretso na sa sako. Improvement. The threshing machine still exists and is used by many countries including the Philippines, but it is gradually defunct due to its obsolescence. Today, the improved and modified threshing machine with a combine harvester. Natuklasan nila ang bagong makina na uso ngayon o tinatawag nating reaper. Ito ay mas mabilis at mas napapadali ang pag-aani kaysa sa rice thresher, yun nga lang may kamahalan.
Cotton gin. In 1794, US-born inventor Eli Whitney patented the cotton gin. A cotton gin, meaning cotton and gin, is a machine that quickly and easily separates cotton fibers from their seed, enabling much greater productivity than manual cotton separations. The fibers are then processed into various cotton goods such as calico, while any undamaged cotton is largely for textile-like clothing. Eli Whitney is from Massachusetts. Since his father is a farmer, he was able to build a cotton gin, short for cotton engine, and Eli is believed to be talented in mechanic and inventor. The separate seeds may be used to grow more cotton or to produce cottonseed oil. Cotton fibers are produced in the seed pods of the cotton plant where the fibers in the balls are tightly interwoven with seeds. To make the fibers usable, the seeds and fibers must be first separated, a task which had been previously performed manually with production of cotton requiring hours of labors for the separation. By the mid-19th century, cotton had become the America's leading export. So Ellie invented a cotton gin para mas mapabilis yung pagtanggal ng seeds sa cotton fiber. Pero ang cotton kailangan pa ring tanggalin sa cotton gin gamit ang kamay. Many simple seed removing devices have been invented, but until the innovation of the cotton gin, most required significant of operator attention and work only on a small scale. Sa ngayon, meron pa ring cotton gin na ginagamit sa pagproseso at pagtanggal sa cotton. But since we are now in the modern era, coating gin ay nagbago at mas napabilis na ito kumpara noon sa paghihiwalay ng cotton seeds at cotton fibers.
Haro. Haro is an agricultural tool used to level, break up clods, and root out weeds on plowed soil with upright discs. Harrows were used in antiquity and the Middle Ages. The oldest known illustration of a harrow is in scene 10 of the 11th century Payout tapestry. An Arabic reference to harrows is to be found in Abu Bakr ibn Washia of the 10th century, but claiming knowledge from Babylonian sources. Commonly, farmers in the Philippines use pakaras, which is also similar to harrow, but it is a piece of wood tied to a carabao, and the wood is dragged around the farm area with the farmer guiding the carabao. Ang harrow ay ginagamit pang araro sa bukid kapag nagtatanim ang mga magsasaka, at karaniwan itong tinatali sa kalabaw at ginaguide ng magsasaka at hinihila ng kalabaw ang harrow para makapagbungkal ng lupa. Many farmers still use harrow and tied it into a carabao, but some farmers do not need the help anymore because of its improvement, and sometimes it is now carried by truck operated by men, and it is crucial to break and stir up the soil, making it even better and consistent.
Last one for the hunting. We have here hand axe, bows and arrows, spear points, bone tools, and foothold traps.
Hand axe. The discovery of hand axes first emerged in Egypt around 30,000 BC. The hand axes were one of the humanity's earliest tools. It came in a variety of forms ranging from circular to triangular, but the majority of archaeological findings were teardrop-shaped hand axes. Hand axes were crafted from various hard rocks such as flint, obsidian, and granite. They were used by early Egyptians for chopping and scavenging, most likely for meat and skinning. These may have been thrown at animals in order to kill or harm them while hunting. Early humans lived in caves, primitive dwellings, or teepees throughout the Paleolithic period were hunters and gatherers. Hand axes were employed as hunting projectiles which were thrown at a group of animals to stun one of them. In today's context, the hand axes have been modified into an axe with a blade or bit of steel or fastened to a wooden handle, which is widely used in farming. So, hand axes have evolved into wooden handled axes that are mostly used in farming for activities such as digging, cutting, piercing, and hammering.
Bow and arrow for hunting. In its discovery, the bow is a long-range weapon system consisting of an elastic launcher and long-axis projectile. The earliest identified remains of bows and arrow in Europe can be fragments from Germany found in Mannheim Vogelstang dating from 17,500 to 18,000 years ago, and at Stelmore dating from 11 years ago. Ang bow ay binubuo ng isang matibay ngunit nababanat na arko na may isang string na nakakabit sa mga dulo ng dalawang paa ng bow. Ang isang arrow ay isang patulis na kahoy o pareding metal na may bingaw sa pinakadulo upang makipag-ugnay sa bowstring. Usage. The use of bows and arrows for hunting and warfare dates back to the Paleolithic period in Africa, Asia, and Europe. It was widely used in ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, America, and Europe until the advent of gunpowder. Pangunahing ginagamit ang bow at arrow para sa pangangaso at bilang sandata. Ang paggamit ng bow at arrow para sa pangangaso at para sa giyera ay nagsimula pa noong sinaunang panahon. Ang mga overhead ay unang gawa sa kahoy, bato o buto at pagkatapos ay naging metal. Ang paggamit ng isang bow at arrow ay para sa pakikidigma hanggang sa natuklasan ang mga baril. Improvement. In fact, it is true. Today, bows are mainly used for hunting and sport. They were important weapons of war from ancient history to the early modern period, where they became increasingly obsolete due to the development of more powerful and precise guns and were eventually discontinued. Ang mga bow ay ginagamit pa rin ng ilang mandirigma at mga ngaso. Ito rin ay makikita pa rin sa mga competition o sa archery.
The third hunting tool is spear points. Spears are weapons consisting of a long shaft with a sharply pointed end, which is either a stone or a metal. Archaeologists in Texas believe they have discovered the oldest weaponry ever discovered in North America. These spear points dating back 15,500 years. So imagine gaano na ito katagal na na-discover and gaano na ito katagal na ginagamit as hunting weapon. And according to new research published in Science Advances, the weapons which were ostensibly used to hunt game were provide new insight into the continent's earliest occupants. Next is usage. Spears were first used as hunting weapons amongst the ancient Chinese. Points are further identified by the size and shape of their stems and shoulders. Points like this were attached to long, powerful spears, usually made of a wood. Hailing, or the practice of attaching stone points to spears, was a significant advancement in hunting equipment for early humans. Hafted tools take more time and effort to make, but a sharp stone point on the end of a spear can boost its killing ability. Spear points are not only used for hunting, it's also used for warfare and fishing. They throw it onto the targeted animals by using one arm or both arms. And improvement. Some hunters and even few fishers are still using spear points, but I think it is more commonly used in hunting. It has been employed as a hunting and fishing tool as well as a weapon throughout human history. It is one of the earliest and most essential tools invented by early humans alongside the club, knife, and axe.
Bone tool. The oldest excavated bone tools are from Africa, dated to about 1.5 million years ago. Bone tools have been discovered in the context of Neanderthal groups such as well as throughout the development of anatomically modern humans. Bone tools have been documented from the advent of Homo sapiens and are also known from Homo neanderthalensis context or even earlier. Pinaniniwalaang hindi lang stone tool ang ginamit ng mga Homo sapiens, kundi gumamit din sila ng bone tool. The bone was fashioned into tools such as spoons, knives, awls, pins, fish hooks, needles, flakers, hide scrapers, and beamers. They made musical rasps, flutes, and whistles as well as toys of bone. Decoratively carved articles were also made of bone such as hair combs, hairpins, and pendants. Napakaraming purpose ng bone tool para sa mga Homo sapiens. Ginagamit din nila ito sa paghunting at fishing. Ngunit ilan sa mga gamit nito ay ginawa nilang spoon and knives. Ginagamit din nila ito sa decoration ng kanilang damit o di kaya ginagawa nilang accessories. As an organic material, bone often does not survive in a way that is archaeologically recoverable. However, under the right conditions, bone tools do sometimes survive and many have been recovered from locations around the world representing time periods throughout history and prehistory. Sa ngayon, di na tayo gumagamit ng bone tool dahil meron na tayong ginagamit, for example, sa paghunt or kaya fishing. Ginagamit lang ang bone tool noong 1.5 million years ago.
Foothold traps. It was first invented to keep powder out of European state in the 1600s. Blacksmith made traps of iron in the early 1700s for trappers. Its main use is to keep powder away from their land rather than using it was hunting wild animals. Foothold traps, also called leg hold traps, are designed to catch an animal by the foot and restrain it. The main point or idea of this trap is to get a hold the victim so that it will be able to escape. Improvement. Modified traps are the available with offset jaws or elimination or both which decrease pressure on the animal's leg. Its effects was decreased or downgrade to prevent fatal damage on animal and such.
In conclusion, these tools, equipments, and machines are changing little by little with the emergence of modern studies. Like knowledge and time, modern technology is gradually evolving and emerging with the help of science. Sana ay marami kayong nakuhang kaalaman at salamat sa pakikinig sa aming grupo. Bye!